From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is Ag Day.
Coming up today on Ag Day, we celebrate this most sacred time.
This is the real Christmas.
Embracing our fellow man.
So just a love, a hug coming from someone I know.
While we hunt for the perfect gift.
I think they just like that they're handmade.
The perfect apple.
I don't want it lost in time.
A Christmas tree or decorations to fill our homes with the Christmas season. It's Christmas Eve with Ag Day.
Ag Day, presented by the Chevy Silverado and the all-new Silverado HD, the strongest, most advanced family of Silverados ever.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. On this Christmas Eve, we want to highlight the beauty and traditions of the Christmas season on this special edition of Ag Day. We want to start with what's become known as the Christmas flower, the poinsettia, the traditional red and green plant first introduced to the U.S. back in 1825 from Mexico. Ag Day national reporter Betsy Gibbons shows us what it takes to grow these beautiful but demanding plants.
Christmas is a business at Bessler Nursery in Woodburn, Oregon, as more than 25,000 poinsettias have to go.
It gets real hectic, making sure that things are watered properly, they're ready to go on a truck, ready to get shipped all day in a truck.
This is the busiest time of the year for shipping at the nursery, which is producing more than 20 varieties. There's only 6 months to grow the perfect poinsettia with one target date in mind.
Peaks generally after Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, through the first 2 to 3 weeks in December. And then you can't sell one after December 25th.
That's where growers Don Spence and Paige Cucci come in to evaluate and make sure the flower with an expiration date is healthy.
Most growers will typically walk through a greenhouse every day and they'll pop roots. They'll pop the plant out of the pot to look at roots every single day.
Looks good and gets sold, especially since this Christmas crop is a major moneymaker.
And with a lot of large greenhouse operations, it will be the only crop that is generating any sort of revenue for December, November, and December.
These sensitive plants need a lot of time in TLC. Each variety is different. Some take more time to develop, and peak prettiness falls past Christmas.
Here?
Yeah, I think we're totally fine for water today.
Yep, probably get us through a couple of days.
Yeah.
Growers often trick those varieties into thinking the days are shorter, helping slow down maturity.
Depends on how many hours of daylight it gets and how many dark hours it gets. So in September and October, we're in here pulling black plastic over plants to trick it that it's actually nighttime and not the daytime.
As the sea of red turns into gaps at the greenhouse, it's a welcome sign.
Christmas does start early. We've got 6 months of Christmas here.
But soon enough, the market, the inventory, and planning of next Christmas will start once again. Reporting in Woodburn, Oregon, I'm Betsy Gibbons.
This year's tree coming from Mahatunga Valley Farms in Pittman, Pennsylvania. The owners of the farm, Larry Snyder and his wife Joanne, and their family also there for the presentation. The 23-foot tall Douglas fir is now the centerpiece of the White House Blue Room. Since 1929, the Blue Room tree has been known as the White House official tree. It is traditionally trimmed by the First Lady and several volunteers, and it's estimated more than 2 million people will walk around this tree through the holiday season. And a tree from the land of enchantment, my home state, better known as New Mexico, is this year's Christmas centerpiece in front of the Capitol. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, was joined by other representatives and several children to help flip the switch and turn on all those lights. This year's tree traveled over 1,500 miles from the Carson National Forest in northern New Mexico. It's a 60-foot blue spruce that is adorned with thousands of ornaments made by New Mexico school children and community members. The traditional Christmas tree is usually a fir or a pine, but a type of cypress is proving to be very popular too, as Carl Wiggers from our friends over at This Week in Louisiana Agriculture shows us.
Rolling hills of Christmas trees, it's high time to find yourself on a sleigh ride through Steele's Christmas Tree Farm. That's what Max and Abigail are up to today. Kevin Steele says that's what his farm is all about.
And the thrill of
the old-time thought of going out into the woods and to cut a native tree and bring it into your home and decorate it. We've taken a lot of the hard work out of that. We cultivate our trees, and we have beautiful rolling hills here, and the people can come out and enjoy a time of fellowship, and they make memories that last a lifetime.
They're making memories buying this Leland cypress Christmas tree.
We inventory about 7,000 trees on our farm. We have 5 different fields on a 5-year rotation. So each year we open a new field. If we happen not to sell out that field, those trees are our bigger trees for the next year. I have never been able to grow a tree too big that I can't sell.
That includes this monster he sold this week that has been growing here for more than a decade.
It was 18-foot Leland cypress. He was probably around between 10 and 12 years old, and we sold it to the parish government for St. Bernard. They bought an 18-foot and a 16-foot.
Whether it's an 18-foot beauty or a more standard size like this one, Steele says the memories grown here are more priceless than any tree.
You can buy a Christmas tree anywhere. When you come here, I want you to create a memory with your children or your grandchildren that when you're gone, they're going to remember, I went with Mimi and Papa, and we used to cut down a tree.
Reporting for Ag Day, I'm Carl Wiggers.
Up next, they're a traditional gift this time of year in other places around the world, apples. And a group of apple detectives is working to prevent some varieties from being lost to time. It's important work next on this special Christmas Eve edition of Ag Day.
Join Andrew McRae for Farming the Countryside, a farmer-focused podcast that is all about production agriculture. Farming the Countryside is available wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and is brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, the world's largest provider of crop inputs and services.
Apples, they're part of many tasty treats this time of year, like apple pies, strudel, and cider, but in some parts of the world, they've also become a traditional gift on Christmas Eve. In China, Christmas Eve is called Ping-A-Yi, meaning peaceful and calm night. This was translated from the carol we know as Silent Night. And the word for apple in Mandarin is Pegua, which sounds a lot like peace in English. So-called apple detectives in the Pacific Northwest are out to find apple varieties that are thought to be extinct. The Lost Apple Project is searching remote canyons, windswept fields, and hidden ravines of northern Idaho and eastern Washington state, parts that were once known as the Oregon Territory, on the hunt for rare apples.
It might be here. Let's stop right here. Okay, can you take...
Spending countless hours crisscrossing hundreds of miles in trucks, on all-terrain vehicles, and on foot.
Can you take the GPS coordinates right here? It might be one of these apples right here, one of those trees.
These volunteers are in search of a rare fruit.
And what we're trying to do is recover apples that in the last 100 or so years have been lost or thought to be extinct.
The fruit trees planted by the earliest homesteaders as they settled across the West.
Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was approximately 250 apple varieties growing in eastern Washington and northern Idaho. Today, at least 25 of those varieties are believed to be extinct.
BENSCOTER and his fellow apple hunter E.J. Brandt are scouring old county fair records, newspaper clippings, and sales ledgers to figure out which varieties existed in the area.
We obtained a ledger book from a relative of a nurseryman who was in Whitman County in the late 1800s, and in that ledger book were a number of receipts.
Then they hunt them down, matching written records with old property maps, land deeds, and sometimes the memories of pioneers' great-grandchildren.
I don't want it lost in time. I want to give back to the people so that they can enjoy what our forefathers did.
Each time he or Brandt find a new tree, they place apples in a Ziploc baggie carefully labeled with the tree's latitude and longitude and the date it was collected. The apples are then shipped to the Temperate Orchard Conservancy for identification.
We are warmer here in Oregon than we were 10, 15 years ago even. And so you have to have varieties that can last, that can grow, produce fruit, survive the heat, and maybe survive the cold winter, depending on where you're going to be.
Cooper says the trees could eventually boost genetic diversity among modern-day apple crops. So far, the Lost Apple Project has found 13 long-lost varieties.
They planted these apple trees, they enjoyed them. I want our future generations to enjoy it.
For BENSCOTER and Brandt, however, the biggest joy comes in the hunt. Up next, making everyone feel welcome at Christmas. One young lady's ability to spread joy that's starting to catch on.
To help achieve your personal best yield, try Delaro fungicide for corn and soybeans.
During the Christmas season, there's the rush to buy gifts, get them wrapped and under the tree, all in time for Christmas Day. There are also the parties, the plays, and lots of family and friends. But sometimes one group gets overlooked: seniors. They've lost spouses, friends. They're not as mobile as they once were, and their universe becomes much smaller, and sometimes their grief more intense at Christmas. Health experts say nearly half of Americans over 65 experience loneliness, and it's worse this time of year. One young Tennessee woman, as part of a 4-H project, is helping seniors have a better Christmas season with thoughtful gifts and also just spending time with them. Charles Denny has her story.
Joker Wild or Jack Wild? Jack. Oh.
A spirited card game with plenty of laughs, courageous wagering, even a little trash talking. It's good-natured fun at this assisted living center in McMinnville. But note one young player among the elderly card sharks.
So I spend a lot of time in the nursing home just talking with them, going to their different parties.
Emily Pennington is a freshman at UT Martin, majoring in nursing and a longtime 4-H'er. Back in her hometown of McMinnville, she spends time with older people, part of a 4-H service project she created called Embracing the Elderly. Emily first got the idea as a little girl visiting her great-grandmother in a nursing home. Even at that young age, she noticed that many people there had no visitors or family.
So over 65% of nursing home patients are considered elder orphans, meaning they don't have support coming from outside the nursing home, such as emotional support, so just a love, a hug coming from someone they know.
Emily started Embracing the Elderly during the Christmas season. This is also a collection effort, gathering practical gifts. Now more than 2,000 items donated to people in Warren County.
So I spend a lot of time going to different schools, going to local businesses, and collecting things such as body wash, crossword puzzles, blankets, and that really started at the Christmas season in 2016. So I realized, hey, they're not getting Christmas presents, and that broke my heart.
Your emotions can impact you physically. Loneliness can be as damaging to your health as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. And for the elderly, social isolation can mean a greater risk for heart disease and stroke.
Are you drawing a red nose like your hat Rudolph?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-H agents praise Emily for this effort and believe her presence, her company, is life-changing for people here.
And so to be able to shine that light and kind of bring some joy to a patient's life at all, whether it be just spending time with them to visit, giving them a gift, making them a greeting card or anything like that, definitely I think has impact and it's really important.
Emily is away at UT Martin now, but when she's home, Embracing the Elderly will go on. Future visits, more games, and sweet one-on-one conversations. This time of year, it's an investment of holiday spirit and seasonal kindness that carries throughout the year and crosses several generations. This is Charles Denny reporting.
Now, Emily won the Fairest of the Fair pageant for Tennessee recently and is using her role there to promote this program statewide. Future projects include Easter cards for nursing home residents. Well, coming up, do you know what the oldest Christmas song is? You'll hear a bit of it next. And we'll take you to a workshop where one man is able to make music come out of all sorts of unusual things.
Got equipment to sell privately but tired of scams and hassles? Visit MachineryPete.com and click Sell Mine. MachineryPete.com, the simple and secure way to buy and sell equipment online.
Christmas carols are, of course, a tradition. Did you know the oldest Christmas hymn is thought to be Jesus Refulsit Hominum, or Jesus, Light of All the Nations, which you're hearing now. It was thought to have been created in the 4th century, somewhere between 310 and 367 AD, and it originated in France, possibly after the first Christmas celebration took place in 336 AD. Music and the arts go together like strings on a guitar. Now, a North Dakota entrepreneur is composing instruments that are functional art. As Cliff Naylor reports, he has become an acclaimed 6-string artisan whose work is displayed in art galleries and sought after by musicians all over the world.
This workshop is where the music comes alive. Bo Teige spends hours in this garage, carving the sound of music out of discarded license plates, scrap metal, cigar boxes, and cake pans.
It's taken off a lot more than I ever thought it.
Bo is a craftsman who isn't musically inclined.
I don't play guitar.
But he sure can build them. Bo figured out how to compose guitars in cyberspace.
Seen a YouTube video, some guys playing some cigar box guitars, and said, well, I want to try and make one of those. And after I made a couple of them, people started wanting them, and I've been behind ever since.
He made his first homemade guitar 5 years ago. 257 instruments later, demand for his work has hit a crescendo from musicians all over the world.
I think they just like that they're handmade. A lot of times people send me their own stuff, so essentially I'm making it out of their own materials.
It takes him anywhere from a month to 4 months to crank out a guitar, but you don't have to buy one to admire his work.
I just love the sound of these. I can't play, but I love the sound of them.
Bo's guitars are touring art galleries in Montana and North Dakota.
The idea of using what other people would consider junk to create something that is useful is wonderful.
Sherry Friedman, the executive director of the Mondack Heritage Center, says Bo's functional art strikes a chord with the public. It takes Bo anywhere from a month to 4 months to sculpt a custom guitar. Bo has crafted guitars for customers all over the world. One of his instruments was even gifted to country music legend Keith Urban.
I don't know if he plays it. I always tell everybody it's probably just hanging in Nicole's bathroom.
No matter where Bo Teige's instruments are displayed or played, they make a statement that is music to a wide range of ears. In Williston, I'm Cliff Naylor, reporting for AgDay.
Coming up, the true meaning of Christmas, and a small piece of the story that has found a new home and is helping to bring the story to life for many Christians.
Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
We leave you today where it all began, in a manger. Christians are celebrating the return to Jerusalem of a tiny wooden relic. It's believed to be from Jesus' manger. It was returned nearly 1,400 years after it was sent to Rome as a gift to the Pope. The thumb-sized relic was unveiled to worshipers at the Notre Dame Church in Jerusalem earlier this month.
I'm also surprised. I was hoping that the whole manger will come, but it is a piece of a relic, and if it's a big stone or a big piece, a small piece, if it's from the original manger, it's a part of it from the original. No? So it is not important, it is small if it's big. But it would be much, much better and much big joy if it would be big. But we have this, we are very happy to have it.
When the Vatican did his evaluation of the possibility to transfer for one Christmas the entire wooden structure of the manger, the conclusion was that the material is too fragile, and so it is possible to offer a piece of this relic, but not the entire manger.
The relic now has a permanent home at the Franciscan Church of St. Catherine. That's next to the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, the West Bank holy site, where tradition says Jesus was born. Thank you for sharing part of your Christmas Eve with us, and be sure to join us tomorrow for Christmas in the Country. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Quentin Griffiths. Have a Merry Christmas.